Well, we start with electrostatics. First unit of class 12. First of all, let's come up the definition of electrostatics. Look, it's made of two words, electro plus statics, right? Now, electro word stands for charge and statics concerned with objects at rest. Now its definition simply becomes the study of charge at rest. Simple. This is the simple possible definition. In the study, we see its effects on the other charges. If we have collection of charges, then what's its effect? If there is distribution of charge, and number of things can be. Total studying the charge, its distribution, its effects, all these things come in electrostatics. After that, we have said charge. You have studied about charge in the previous classes, and so here I give once again the definition of charge. The intrinsic property of matter due to which it experiences and produces electrical effects. Look, charge is again a fundamental quantity, however, you call fundamental quantity current. But current is actually charge upon time. Actually, why current has taken fundamental quantity? Because it is easy to understand. Let me tell you very clearly, the fundamental quantity is selected: mass, length, time, temperature, current, mole, and luminous intensity. Out of these, many of the physical quantities, maximum of, are those quantities which can be understood by any uneducated person even. Mass, everyone knows. Length, distances, everyone knows. Time, everyone knows. Current is in everyone's daily life. Then temperature, hotness, coolness. Mole is a mole and luminous intensity. A little bit technical, but maximum fundamental quantities are selected in this way that even a person who is not educated can understand. So they begin the study from the very zero level. So we talk about the fundamental quantities like mass, length, time, current, temperature. One important thing about these fundamental quantities are that they are themselves, they can define them. You can't define mass in other terms. You can't define length in other terms. You can't define time in other terms. They are themselves fundamental things. Further, like charges. Now, charge to be defined, we take help of electric field, and later on I will talk about when charge moves, then magnetic field also reduces. So charge can also be defined in terms of magnetic field also, but electric and magnetic fields are the fundamentals of the nature. Even if there was no science, even there was no human being, there used to be thunderstorms, there was electricity, there was magnetism of earth. People used to use those, say, magnetic needles, sailors used. So, what every quantity, if any quantity can be explained in terms of other quantities, that becomes say derived quantity. And if a quantity in itself, it has own definition, it can't be expressed in other ways, or it can be expressed in fundamental form. So charge can be defined in the terms of the fundamental thing. What is that? Electrical as well as magnetic effects. So here, this definition matters and makes clear that this charge must be taken as fundamental quantity. Of course, many times we take current, but in many situations, we will take charge as fundamental. There is a system named as MKSQ. In this system, time, mass, length, time and charge are taken as fundamental quantities. After that, there are two types of charges. Everyone knows, of course. Now let's compare it with mass. If I have this mass m1, this mass m2, then there is only gravitational attraction between them. There is no possibility of repulsion. But in case of charge, if there are two charges q1, q2, there is possibility of attraction as well as there is possibility of repulsion. Now this phenomena, this particular incident gives clue that there should be an oppositeness in these two charges. Means there should be at least two ways to express the charge. Like I said, mass, there is only force of attraction. So mass must be of one type only. If these two are taken positive, then all masses possible only positive. These two charges are attracting, and other time, suppose these are q1 dash, q2 dash, other charges may repel. This is same thing. Once it's attracting, another time it's repelling. That means there is only possibility that this is of one type, this is of another type. This is of one type, this is of another type, these are similar, these are dissimilar. In this way, we need to define it. And the best possible way, which was adapted to define this nature, there are two things. Charge has two types. So, what scientists did, positive and negative, used these two terms. It is not like that electron has some negative sign printed on it or proton has some positive sign printed on it. No, it's not like that. It has been assumed that one of the charge must be taken as positive, another must be taken as negative. So there are two types because there are two phenomena with the same charge, and it is the property of matter, as I told. Now, I give a question that will make clear why I am stressing over matter. There is a common question. I have two spheres initially uncharged. Sphere A, sphere B. These two spheres. Its mass is M, MB. And these two have exactly same mass. Initially they are uncharged, right? Later, what I do, I give some positive charge to A and some negative charge to B. Now suppose its mass becomes MA dash and its mass becomes MB dash. Now what is the final result? MA dash greater than MB dash, MA dash less than MB dash, or still same, or nothing can be said. Now my question is, initially the masses of two spheres was same. Later, it was given some positive charge, it was given some negative charge. The question is, what is the relation now between the masses? Now look, in general, I have seen that students get this conception that if there is a positive charge, then mass will get increased. At first, they think like this. But actually, what happens? Why positive charge comes? I hope you know. When current flows, then only free electrons can move. Protons inside the nucleus are bound to the nucleus, they can't move. Only electrons can move. So when I will talk about the charge is transferable also, then actually electrons are transferable. So if A becomes positively charged, then it is only possible if electrons leave this A and they move to B, or from any other source electron come on B, but electrons are removed from A. Now I call that electrons move from A and go to B. Now what should happen when electrons are coming from A to B? Then the charge becomes negative, there is deficiency of electron, it becomes positive charge, there abundance of electron, it becomes negatively charged. Now when charge is coming, then I told that charge the intrinsic property of matter. If charge comes, then definitely mass also comes. So mass comes, then this mass of B must be increased. So our answer to this question must be option B, mb dash greater than ma dash. Because charge comes, then automatically it brings mass with it. Next point. Look. There are definitions, conductors and insulators. Metallic bonding you may have studied a little in class 11th. Metallic in metals, the electrons are free to move within the metal and sometimes outside the metal. So metals and salty water or any, let's say, salty solution, ionic solution, I must say, ionic solution, human body, animal body. These are the substances which have free electrons in them or free ions. Now they become the conductor of charge. If this is metal, you connect with some battery, then electrons start flowing. Electrons are free to move, they start moving, and there is flow of charge. That is what about conductors. Now insulators are just opposite it, like plastic, like wood. These objects, suppose this is a plastic plate, you connect with battery, there will be no current in the circuit. Because plastic itself doesn't have free electrons, so there will be no flow of electrons. So very clearly and simple thing, conductors are the objects which allow the flow of electron or where the flow of charge is possible. Insulators where it is not possible. Next point, which is commonly used in the electrostatics, that is a term called earthing. Earthing means actually connecting with the earth, with our earth. Now just have a look. The earth has, I will say, huge capacity for charge. Let me elaborate. Like, I must say first that if any amount of positive or negative charge is given to earth or extracted from earth, its potential doesn't change. It remains same or constant. Why? It has huge capacity. It is like there is an ocean, you take out a bucket of water, a tanker of water, 100 tankers of water out of the ocean, but its level will not go down. In the opposite, you do same, put down 1,000 say tankers filled with water inside the ocean, its level will not change because its capacity is huge. Another way, in thermodynamics, you studied source and sink. That used to become, you may use, it's a practical thing. How there can be any object, if heat is extracted, temperature doesn't change. Source. If heat is dumped, then temperature doesn't increase. Sink. But practically, these two things are made possible. Like sink, I talk about. All the heat coming out of the engines of the vehicle goes to the environment. And environment is so large that heat doesn't increase the temperature of the environment. I hope you understand. Now the capacity, largeness of capacity makes it resistant to small changes. In the same way, the earth itself has huge capacity. Look, every day there are 1,000 places, there may be lakhs of thunderstorms every day. In oceans, in jungles, in lots of places, mountains, every day there are thunderstorms. Of course, there could not be clouds in our sky today, but it may be in lots of places around the world. So lots of charge is going down into the earth, and then water is being evaporated, going to the clouds, and it is moving away. This process goes on. And naturally that charge which goes to earth and comes out is such a huge thing that compared to with that, the electricity which we use is almost negligible. So you can call earth as electrostatic source as well as sink. That means for charge, it is source also, it is sink also. Whatever amount you extract, whatever amount you dump, its potential is not going to change. We consider its potential as zero potential. It won't change, it's a reference, it is considered to be zero potential. So when any object you connect with the earth, then its potential will become zero. That if it has additional charge, it will go into the earth. So earthing basically does what? First of all, it makes potential zero. Later I'll explain in details about potential. Potential is you can count it in this way, that if you take water at high level, you then put a glass of water or any amount of water. If a water tank is placed on a roof of a 1-story building or 2-story or 10-story, then water will rush rapidly from the 10-story building because it is at the higher level. That level can be supposed as the level for the charges as potential. So potential determines the rate of flow of charge. Later we will discuss about it. So if there is zero potential, you have this object having some charge, connect it with the earth. If it had positive charge, it had some positive potential. Now the positive charge will go into the earth, it will become neutral, it may become, not always, but it may become neutral, and its potential will definitely become zero. If any object connected to earth, it may or may not become neutral, but its potential means its capability to make the flow of charge become zero, its potential zero. So earthing is practically what? Connecting in our household connections, there is a wire, thick wire taken, a copper plate connected to copper plate, buried deep down into the earth. It is done due to the reason whenever there is, say, sometimes fluctuations occur and a lot higher voltage comes, then additional charge will go down into the earth. That is actually earthing. Now, let's move to next point. Properties of charge. Now, charge itself is what the property of matter. Further, charge has its influences. First of all, there are certain properties of it. Additivity. It is the standard term I am saying, but I call it added algebraic. Suppose you have charges Q1 equals to plus 2 coulomb, Q2 equals to minus 5 coulomb, Q3 equals to plus 6 coulomb, Q4 equals to plus 10 coulomb. When you will add all these charges, then you will simply call plus 2 minus 5 plus 6 plus 10. It will be 16 plus 18 minus 5, 13 plus 13 coulomb. This you know very well why it has been additionally said here, or we are taking it special, because here we want to make clear that charge is not a vector. When you are adding charge, then you are using only algebraic sum. You are taking care of positive and negative signs only. So its addition is algebraic. It is not done by the vector method. So it is not a vector. It must be considered. So this definition is important here. Second property of charge is quantization. Now, what is quantization? For example, if anything exists in fractions, that is not quantized. If I ask, you have 10 apples, at a time you have 10.5 apples. Yes, you can have 10 apples, then cut 1/11th apple, then put half of it, then you will have 10.5 apples. That's possible. Lots of other things you can have. If there is possibility of fragmentation in any object, then it may exist in fractions. There are lots of things, but on the other hand, if something which will exist complete or it won't exist. Like, I take a good example, like the human beings are. If you count people somewhere, you will count there are 10 people, there are 20 people, there are 1,000. You won't ever say there are 10.6 people, 9.4 people. You can't. If there are 9 people or 10 people, say one of them is a small kid, 1 day kid even, or 6 day, whatever, a small kid, and a person who's very elderly, 100 years aged. If a person is there in that collection of 10 people, there is a small kid also, there is a person of age about 100 approx, is very feeble, and at the same time, by the grace of God, if It doesn't happen with anyone while we pray to God, but it sometimes happens if someone is handicapped, doesn't have both legs or both hands. Still, you will count everyone as one person. A small kid, an elderly person, a person who is disabled. Because human being exists not due to the body, it exists because I am talking to you, this is my soul. So we count the human being by their soul. If person dies, then we say it is no. If he is alive, then we count him or her one. So we human being can exist we can exist in quantized manner. You can never say that person are 14.6 or something like this. You will say 14 or say 15 or say 14 or say 13. Whatever the number is, the existence of number of people can't ever be in fractions. So we can call that human being is quantized in the same way, and the minimum possible, say the least possible value of being a human is a soul. So there are 1,000 people, then there are 1,000 bodies, 1,000 souls. Body may be complete or incomplete, but soul is always complete. So we're not going to become say philosophical, but to understand it, the concept, it's a good comparison. Now in the same way, if anything exists having some least possible value, below that least value, it won't exist. Here, I talk about charge. Lots of experiments made it clear that charge on electron is minus 1.6 times per minus 19 coulomb. I hope you know the unit of charge, it is coulomb. And charge on proton plus 1.6 times per minus 19 coulomb. For example, for a moment, I call this charge is denoted by E. Now, if I say if there is 1 by 3 E, there is 1.6 E, then it is not possible. If there will be E, there will be 2 E, there will be 100 E, there may be 10 to the power 6 E. This is possible, but this is not. Means, charge can have this value, can't have lesser than this, but can have the values in terms of its integral multiple. There is one electron or absence of an electron that will give charge plus E or minus E. Two electrons doing same, coming or leaving the surface, plus 2E or minus 2E, plus 100E or minus 100E, means if there is some charge Q, then it will be plus minus NE, where N belongs to integer. This is integer. N must be integer, it can't be a fraction. So this quality, this property is called quantization. And charge is called quantized. Minimum value is called its quanta. For charge, the quanta is E, 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19. Third property is conservation of charge. Now let me tell you very clearly about this. This conservation theory about few things like linear momentum, angular momentum, total energy and charge conservation. These conservation theories regarding these quantities has a very important role at the lowest, say, smallest micro level, at the atomic level, and at the highest level, say, interspace, spatial, these objects we talk about. Lots of results are given On the basis of these laws, in the discovery of electron, photon, positron, in all these things, definitely it is impossible to observe, it is impossible to see these objects. Only the experiment carried out, there were observations, and the observations, on the basis of observations, the calculations, the final result was made on the behalf of this conservation principles. Later on, we will come to know that lots of discoveries were predicted on the basis of this conservation laws. I hope you may know angular momentum. In class 11th, you may have studied in gravitation, in the motion of planets and all these things, angular momentum, linear momentum, charge. These always in quantum physics as well as in classical physics. These principles always work. I haven't talked about mass conservation, energy conservation, because there is possibility that mass can be converted into energy, and reverse is also possible. So alone mass conservation is not possible, alone energy conservation is not possible, but mass plus energy conservation can exist. Well, that's another issue. We are talking about conservation of charge. In any system, if there is certain amount of charge, then whatever happens, the total charge will not change. I give you an example of it, which is formula of relativity. Relativity formula says that m is equal to m naught upon root 1 minus. You will wonder to know this formula, that mass of any object can change the value if it is moved with the speed, c is the speed of light, v is the speed of mass m. If v is, say, v is 0.1 c, minus c by 10, then we can have appreciable change. Means if any